Good morning, good day to you, as usual, wherever and whenever you listen to this series of knowledge seekers from Keshe Space Institute. As we've been going on for years, it's getting more interesting how much we little know about what we should have known from the beginning, about the working of the universe, about the working of the skies, the working of the systems which we see in the space. And one way or another, we should have connected ourselves to this structure through what we call the emotion of the man, rather than physicality of the man. Many times, over the past years and decades, it has come to me to how to explain man next stage of development, man next stage of what we call maturity to the working of the universe. We have everything in yin and yang, which means what we have in the dimension of physicality. This dimension of physicality is a part of scale of the total magnetic field of the universe, the cosmic rays. So it's yin and yang. It has a parallel in the energy side, which was a physical side. And what happened if our ancestors, or even ourselves, somewhere down the line, would have taken the step to understand the energy side of it? Doesn't need systems, doesn't need advanced technology, doesn't need none of it. But man chose the hard way, going the physical way. And in a way, a physical way is not just we managed to make a telephone, we made aeroplane, we discovered a fire. The physical way is I get up to go from A to B. I have to think. I have to create the emotion of I'm getting up for a purpose. I don't get up and just go somewhere. And then make that move physically, to move the leg, to move the arm, to move the head, coordinate everything that I can stand up from A, walk across to B, and then what am I going to do at that B? I don't do things, man doesn't do things for nothing and just go in there. I go to the table to pick up a glass of water to satisfy the emotion of thirst. Again, man is physical. Man has chosen our dimension of physicality. What happened if you could, or our ancestors could, create the emotion of I need the water because I'm thirsty, my physicality needs, to get the dimension of the feel the strength of the water in the emotion of dimension of the man. I don't need to make the physical move. I made the move of receiving energy through emotion. And in that process, I get to understand my own power. And this brings man to the point of becoming man of universe. In the intro is a good example of what it was just explained. As I said many times, when we had the knowledge seekers in Valletta, the Italian couple sitting in the front, the guy was pushing and pushing to move. Where? In the dimension of physicality, the bigger physical power we have, the more we do. In the dimension of energy, the lower we are, the more we receive. Humbleness. So if I want that water, I can't say, give me your energy. I have to be humble that I'm lower than you, that I receive from you. This is the stage where man always confused between the plasma technology, cosmic ray technology, and science of creation and the dimension of physicality. We build the biggest tractors, we build the biggest planes, we build the biggest of everything. We are the bigger than the blah, blah, blah. Where in the dimension of energy, we are lower. We are the weakest. Because we learn it from the Creator. We learn Him to be the giver, the lower, that He can give in the dimension of expansion. But He receives more than what He puts out in the dimension of receiving the love, the care, and everything else with it. He is not stupid. He has made the structure of the creation is humbleness, to be lower. And some people understood this. And if you can do that, you receive. And this is the biggest dilemma for man. When you become man of a space, when you take into the what we call the spaceships of the emotion, how do we handle when we become physical, when we manifest ourselves in the dimension of physicality, where we are aware, we are here to see the beauty of creation in the dimension of matter, but in dimension of energy, in dimension of the field of the universe, we stay lowest that we can be given to understand the beauty of the creation. When you receive, you appreciate. When you receive, you enjoy the beauty. Because when you give, you're too busy giving, you don't see what you're giving. And this is the technology, this is the science behind the structure of the man to travel in a space. You don't need an aircraft. You have to create the emotion. And the emotion has to be so pure. You have to become so perfect that with it, you learn the position of the Creator, humbleness. Not for me to give. What is there for me to receive that I give you so much unconditionally? If man understand the strength of the emotion, man will not walk a single step on the physical life. Because the universe is the oyster of the man. Anywhere in the universe, through dimension of the strength of the field of the central structure of the body of the man, we call it the soul of the man, he's already connected to every corner of this universe. Why do you need to make jet propulsion? Why do you need to make rockets? And why do you need to make UFOs and the rest of it? If you understand this knowledge, if you become aware of the knowledge of the field of the emotion, once we understand, once we experience this, we laugh at people with UFOs. Oh, they're so backwards. Because even those in UFOs are entangled in the dimension of physicality. But because we are a bit too busy, we forgot, we spend too much time in physicality and killing each other than actually developing the progress of it. I was giving this example to one of knowledge seekers in past few hours. I said, this is what the Americans don't realize. This is what the West doesn't understand, where China is winning in every dimension of science and technology, in every aspect of life. The amount of money Americans and Europeans are spending on weapons, killing to become more powerful, China is not fighting, using that asset to develop the nation. And we say the Chinese are this and that. No, because we have become too physical to possess more of the earth, more of the land, to be more powerful, and we created criminals like the world leaders in the West. So the time and the energy spent by the West to create weapons, to be more powerful, to own this land, to that, to dictate who's going to be their leader of what. Chinese don't have that problem. It's invested into the structure, infrastructure, technology, and the nation becomes richer through not spending money on wars. How many wars is China involved in today? And how many wars that Western Europe and Americas are involved with it? They spend the money on killing, they spend the money on developing the culture of the nation and technology of the nation. And we say, Chinese, they do. Yes, because they don't have no wars. America's in debt for 30 odd trillions. Chinese have so much because what they invested now is paying back. They didn't need to colonize. They invested in through peace. Now man has to learn the same way, using technological knowledge of the emotion to make the move. As I always said, you want a donkey, get on the donkey. It still goes from A to B. It takes you as long as you might see better scenery, you might hear some voices of the birds away, but it takes time. Man wants to go faster. Man wants to be to the B as fast as possible from A. So he developed the rockets and everything else, and cars and every other fancy things we call it. But a man of creation, a man who understands the process of creation, he wishes, creates the dimension of humbleness in giving unconditionally. When you give, the cup is empty. So you have a space to receive. And then you can transmute with a wish. What's the use of getting up and going, I wish to have a cup of water. I get up, I have to make all the energy, so I spend so much calorie to get there to get the water. Or I spend no calorie, I actually receive much better emotion. I feel the purity of the water through the emotion, and then I can dictate the next step. This is not a theory. How many of you which went to the systems in Austria in 2023, whatever, how many of them went through the transmutation systems with the remote telephones, have informed us that you receive so much water in your mouth you could not swallow? Because I don't need to give you a cup of water. By creating the emotion of humbleness, emotion of the need, the body receives. How many of you reported that you couldn't even swallow the amount of water you were creating in your bath? Did you drink a glass of water? Now, this is and becomes part of this structure. This is what we are teaching. This is why we have brought this condition of Trinity systems. The Trinity system is part of that process, for one to know one's shortcoming, for one to know how it becomes humble to receive. Once you receive the point of balance using Trinity systems, then you realize I'm even lower than the system I sit with. So you receive. Then see what emotion creates the condition of receiving. Humbleness. This is why everything starts with hydrogen, the lowest, the essence of creation, the line of plasmatic cosmic ray at the lowest level of the what you call fundamental energy, plasma, is the creator. He does not hold on, he does not freeze on, he doesn't stop giving. The more he gives, the more energy is given, collectively comes together, that creates the energy from the environmental cosmos to the universe. He's a very clever man, the creator. It's the story of the mother with 4 children and 2 eggs. Which she received at the end. She boiled the 4 eggs, gave it to the children. I said, I had 4 eggs and I gave it to 4 children. I have nothing to eat. What did the children do? Each one said, Mom, you can have half of mine. The mother ended up with 2 eggs. In the world of creation, in the cycle of the knowledge of the emotion, the mother played the card of emotion. But in reality, deep inside, she never thought, if I give to them, they'll give me more. Out of the love as a mother, she gave unconditionally. Let them have food to eat. I can survive to next time. There is a hidden message in the story. That mother is the creator. And us, the way we speak about man, takes 20% of the energy from the material world, 80% comes from the environment. The same game is played in universal condition. Us, as the souls, as the stars, as whatever in this universe, by creating that condition of feeding, taking more from the center, we allow more to be absorbed from man in the dimension of universal community of the universe. There is a purpose in every aspect of the motion and dimension. In a way, our energy, central energy, collectively becomes the black hole, the gravitational field forces, which is needed to attract from the universe. We are not a universe in what we call galaxy of universes for nothing. It's the same process as in our body. We give, we take, we change, and we allow. What do? We give grass to the cow. He gives us milk. He converts it through energy of his system. He gives us whatever milk and a bit of something at the end, and we put it back on the ground and we grow better to feed back more. So when you understand, man needs to go through these steps which you set up, the system, the machinery, the technology which we continuously add, step by step, for one to know his potential of giving, for one to know the process of the creation, one to understand the transformation, the transportation, the transmutation, any name you want to put on it, to move from A to B, needs to be in the dimension of fields, cosmic rays we call it, to be lower in the strength of taking. It's very hard. It is extremely hard. In the next session, which is the 5 people, now is 6, will come to understand once they receive the materials given to them. Once you receive it, and all 6 announce they received it, we put you through the system. We give to you the strongest. We take from you the weakest. And then you understand the emotion of belonging to the totality, not the individuality. And then you feel you link up to the dimension of the field, the strength of the creation, not the dimension of the connection of the fields of the universe. The emotion is the key to the transportation. The emotion is the key for man's motion. In the physical life, we walk it. In the dimension of emotion, energy, we connect it to the lowest level that become the receiver without actually making the move to be in the position, the time and place. The creator doesn't travel the span of the universe to see what's going on everywhere. He has come so humble at the lowest level that he receives unconditionally and is connected to is those children mother have. We want to have the connection. We want to give the love. The new Trinity systems, especially those who have addition to them, the cosmic materials, opens that door. New dimension, new thinking. We see it in the reports. What we hear is going on with people in the background, the people who join the session, people who are still carrying on with. It seems that we have opened that door. And then the next step for mankind is to learn to transmute through his own strength, not by systems which we develop. These are just the first driving tests. How does it feel? Learning how to drive, which way to go, which way not to go. Even in the process of your emotional transmutation, the emotional motion of receiving, if you make that create point, you're locked. If you go back to the emotion of the man to own, to be, you lost. Then you have to start again. And when it happens, don't worry. You're not the only, and you're not the first. Even the creator had to learn the hardest way. making mistakes and then stopping. His mistake was creation of man, because he never calculated with all the giving, why do you need to killing? So when you see the understanding, the knowledge of emotion, then you don't need no motion. You don't need to physically move. And then that point, as you receive, you become knowledgeable of all because you're connected to it. I used to have a very good friend who's passed away. He was a minister of petroleum, oil industry, one of the biggest reserves of oil in the world. And we used to meet a lot. I think I've spoken about him before. And we were sitting once about 3, 4 o'clock in the morning. That's the only time we had time. We could sit and discuss things which we were involved with at that time. He said to me, do you know Erhan? I said, what? He said, sitting in this chair as a minister, I don't need to do anything. They walk in with all the problems, with all the knowledge, what is the latest technology and everything, and I just sit here and absorb. And he says, the knowledge I gained sometimes in one day, I could have never learned 1,000 years in the universities. Because he is the guy on the top. It comes to him, without wanting or not. Because this is the position of the man to report to the highest. In the dimension of creation, you become the lowest. Then everything comes to feed you. You're that mother, because you have already seeded out by giving. This is the purpose of the what we call Trinity system. You test yourself. There is nobody else. There is not the child to say how it reacts. There is no woman, the wife, the husband, or whatever. Would they appreciate it? Would they say thank to me? No. It's me to know myself. I connect to myself. And you don't need a system. If you learn it through the dimension of emotion, and don't call it a dream. The biggest mistake man ever made was creating that word dream. It's not a dream. It's the transportation to emotion. I miss my mother. So I connect through the soul. I enjoy her presence. And then, because I cannot find anything else about it, I said, I was dreaming about my mom. Because I have never accepted that it's within my power to use the energy levels to be there. This is when you understand this, you don't need to wait that one day you might dream of the mother. You see the mother through the strength of the field of her soul, the emotion of existence, as you need that present communication to the energy pack wherever she left to be at the time when the physical body left or is still alive in the dimension of fields of the emotion. We have found every excuse, we have found every word possible to deny the power which is ours, the knowledge which is ours, and we deny it to ourselves. Because this way we can still attach to the dimension of physicality, walk to get the cup, not to explain through the dimension of emotion. I need that water for my energy system, for the survival of the central energy of me, I call the soul of the man. Then that cup pleases you. Then you don't need to drink it. You don't need to kill another animal to survive. You don't need to destroy another plant. And you don't need to destroy the planet. And then once the man starts, which has started, does not finish. Become the traveler of the universe. Mr. Musk wants to go to the Mars and colonize Mars. We take the habit of the man and the killing with us to Mars. Voila. And then the next planet. Voila. It takes him 7 months to get to Mars. It takes us 7 milliseconds to get to Mars. Because we link to the emotion of the structure of the central energy of the place, time, and position. That's not to be physical. As I said many times, when you want to meet a friend, he's coming from one city to another, you're going from one city to another, but you don't have to meet each other in the time in the cities. So we meet at this cafe in the middle. There is no city, there is nowhere. We just meet at that point or a sign at that by that tree. We have a lot of these trees and cafes in the universe between the galaxies. And man becoming a man of the universe has learned how to get to these cafes, has learned how to find that tree through the dimension of emotion. There is no GPS in the universe. I'm so sorry. Many of you in the discussion and technologies we have shown in the past, especially in the past 3, 4 years, when if you speak and you remember, I tell you, you go from London to Washington, or you go from London to New York, or you go from Tehran to another point. How do you get there? GPS gives you two coordinates. That doesn't help you. You have to add two coordinates by man into the structure. Magnetical, gravitational, emotion of the soul of the man. Plus the coordination on the emotion, magnetic field strength of the planet in that place and position. Why do you become Chinese? Why do you become white in North Europe and black in Africa? Because our inner emotion interacts with the magnetic field of its environment, and that emotion dictates our feature. Inertia of the emotion of the land is the dictator of the culture, figure, feature of the man in the dimension of physicality. This is why when we move to the moon, we cannot be always in a spacesuit. This monkey suit of the man in space. If you understand the position and the time, the field strength of the geographical dimension of the emotion of the position on the moon on such a mountain, and the field strength of the emotion of the desire of the emotion of the man, you'll appear in that place. When you appear in that place, you don't need no lungs, you need no legs, and you can move with the dimension of the field. These are not theories anymore because we have built the systems, and many of you have done the travel. Bunch of you again, next 2 or 3 weeks, you go for another trip. This trip is very nice. We might delay it by a week till we do the test on the 6th, that we bring those 6 as a satellite to support you to learn the first steps of the transmutation. When you receive the materials, the 6 of you, make sure you follow the instruction. Where to put, how to put, and the way to put. That when we start the process of emotional transmutation, you're ready for it. You're ready to grasp. You're ready to taste the emotion of the motion, not motion of emotion. That time you're lost. Try to understand. Don't sit on the sofa and say, oh, I want that cup of water from there. Come to me. No. See how you taste the water. You get the energy of the water by giving to the water what it needs. You have to tune to his need that he's got in a way full up, and the emotion and the field, what we call it expansion, reaches to you. You've got to fill that cup before the overflowing of it fills you up. Gravitational magnetic field of the same strength are totally different in operation. One twist in, one twist out. Which end of the twist do you want to be? The strongest always gives to bring balance. This is the principle of the creation. And when the balance comes, you cannot keep much because you already have given out to create that balance. Try to move on to understand your emotions. And I said in the teaching before, there are many, many emotions that the man has not even got a clue yet, but it's within him. And is part of, hidden from the man by himself as part of the motion in the universe. Emotion of desire, emotion of wanting to be with the creator. Give so much out that you become so humble that then you can connect to his magnetical field, and on return you become gravitational field to him. It's a cycling process, total recycling process. Man recycles physicality, but he hasn't learned to recycle the emotion. We are not preachers, no religion. This is pure scientific because we have made the systems and hundreds of you have already been through it. Some of you many times. Some of you regularly every month come into the session to see what's next, how I expanded, how I learn more. But you never ask question, did I teach more? You don't need to be a teacher to anyone on earth. You teach, you give the knowledge through the emotion of the universal language, universal knowledge. That emotional universal knowledge is the man which man has not even understood, but he receives it as Tesla, as other scientists of the world from the dimension of the creation. This is the point. When humanity has to understand his strength and at the same time fully understand his weakness. A man who knows his weakness is a strong man. I always told my children, when you're arrogant, you think you're strong, this is exactly where you're the weakest. When you're humble enough to know your weakness, you're strong enough to do something about it. And this is the same with the emotion of the transmutation. When you know you cannot achieve and you understand the reason of it, and then you create the emotion for that weakness, that lack of what we call position to be fulfilled, then you become passenger of universe. You don't need any wormholes and black holes and transmutation systems. It's been within us. We called it a dream. Now that dream is a reality which we deny to ourselves. It's like men. I live in the world of men, unfortunately. I've seen in the world of my world of business and power and the rest of it, some of these most richest men in the world I've been in touch, I work with, they have some of the most beautiful women and children you could ever imagine. Not just physically, in emotion, in love. And this man, still having the most beautiful things in his hand, sits on the chair and his eyes looking for another woman. I turned to one sitting in Amsterdam in a hotel. I said, aren't you ashamed, boy? I said, you have a gorgeous wife, you have 4 beautiful sons. And then you still, I said, do you know the pain you cause in your wife? Because you never feel that emotion of satisfaction because you're always hungry for something which is not yours. And this has been the habit of the man. Kill another because it's not mine. I get it, I'll have it. And you know what happened? Less than a year later, the wife turned up with a breast cancer on the right side. I said, you give, you take. I spoke with him a few weeks ago. I said, how is the wife? He said, we spent thousands, hundreds of thousands. Thanks God, the chemotherapy and this worked. I said, stupid, foolish man. The chemotherapy is your eyes. Your behavior looking outside. The wife is not blind. It's you who's blind to the dimension of emotion you create inside that woman. Man, when realizes the power of emotion in the dimension of transportation, man has conquered the universe, not with rockets and UFOs and the rest. Whenever you see a technology which is physical, you understand these people have not reached the maturity of understanding that you as humans have reached to understand the power of emotion. They still have to get in bigger plane, they can do this, they jam this, they create light, so they're still physical. It means they have not reached the maturity of the knowledge that you have as humans and you understand as a process of the creation because it's the way the creation was created. You eat that apple not because you get the 10 calorie from it. You eat that apple because that creates a magnetic field that the rest of your body needs to absorb from the universe for the other 80% that you can't eat. Can you imagine if you were supposed to get 100% of the energy you need from the planet, the animals and trees? You can imagine what could happen. There would have been no trees and nothing. We'll be eating each other again 4 times over. Man has to learn the power of emotion. This is the only way that creates motion in the universe for the man. Otherwise, you're still in the job of Mr. Musk. Rocket it and see if he can land on its own. Try not to call it a dream, but the reality of the power of the energy within you. Then you have unlocked the key of transportation, transmutation, and everything else. Then you don't need even to wish to have the cup. By walking, you move yourself to the chair and you're there through the transfer of energy of your physicality. I made man in the image of myself. Do I go across to see what the other one is doing across the other galaxies on the end of the universe? I connect to the line of the emotion of the fields. So if he has that power, so does the man, through the strength of the soul of the man. The biggest game we were played with was that the clergy, the religious guy, created the soul to be somewhere, and they milked the man from the emotion and the pocket of physicality of the finance to control. Once man understands the center of control of his fields, his energy, the way your brain, your heart is inside your physicality, the heart of your energy sits in your soul and is within you. And then you find you're the creator of the emotion, controller of the emotion, and understand with it the emotion of the others without physically creating emotion to meet. The understanding of cosmic ray in the dimension of creation is the key to the success of man to conquer the universe. Not by machines, not by ayatollahs and the Quran and Bible and the rest of the things written according to what man could rob the others and call it a religion. There are no churches, there are no mosques, there are no ayatollahs, there are no popes in the universe of other religions that you can attach yourself to for you to believe in something. Once man believes in the power of himself, within himself, then he chooses when to manifest in physicality and when to take the walk of the motion through emotion. These are not theories. We have delivered systems amongst you that you can test. It's for you to test, find the weaknesses, find the strength. The strength comes the time when you give, not when you receive. When you start receiving, you're in a big trouble. You're still humans. Achieving is different than receiving. And you always strive to achieve, to understand the strength of the emotion of the others, not yourself, because you are aware of your own strength, your field of emotion. made man in the image of myself. If he can do it, so you can, because they're your image of it, which means you're the yin and he's a yin. And they feel the strength of you, as he has access to all the field and steps of the creation because he created it. When you reach to this level of knowledge, you become humble to your creator because you understand his work and his simpleness and his the love for creation. You don't need no ayatollahs, you don't need no religion, you don't need no nothing. Because if you don't understand this, the next guy in the UFO says this and that because you don't understand the science of it, he becomes prophet so and so, and then makes a lot of imams with it and disciples to rub you more on the emotional side of your creation. Whenever you see a dimension of physicality as manifest space, understand, I understand the emotion he has and I'm higher than him. It's my responsibility to teach him to see his creator, not for me to rob him because I know more. Then you become that thieving prophet for him. Try, especially those of you who now a large number of Trinity system has been distributed amongst you, and a few of them carry cosmic ray materials in them, which connects very direct. The cosmic ray materials within the structure of the Trinity system is a knowledge and a power that no man can match. There is no technology in the universe that can match because it has everything to bring man to the knowledge of creation. And first of all, man has to know himself. That's why he's a twin of you. You were looking my twin love, my twin partner. Now you have to deal with this guy. You made it. You ask for it and you connect to it, and it connects to the dimension of your emotion, not to your dimension of physicality. Sorry, he cannot bring you a cow and he cannot bring you a blondie which you like. But it shows a dimension of emotion that it feeds you in every dimension of essence of creation. Try to understand how powerful your emotion is. This is not something new. As I said, go back 11 years ago when, with Dr. Kostova, we taught every organ of the man. She spent half an hour teaching about what the doctors, what the physiologist says, backing off the other scientists to give her all the questions and explanation in the sessions. And we gave the answer for the same organ. Every single organ of the body of the man has gone through this teaching. What it is, and the connection to it is the emotion. So now that we have the systems, you can see what 11 years ago, 12 years ago was set up for you not to see. If you want to understand it, what emotion is. Emotion is like the skin of the man. It's got 3 layers. You got the outer skin which interacts with the outside. You got the middle skin in the middle, which has to handle the transfer of energy and what comes in and what goes out. And then you have the inner skin, which handles with energy inside. This is the balloon which holds everything inside. Emotion is that middle layer. It has to be in communication with the creator and created, with the giver and taker. How much you take from the environment, how much you give back to the environment. Unconditionally, because if he doesn't control that, God help you, there is no life. You get diseases, cirrhosis, and everything else when it runs into problem. Cancer and the rest of it. One day, I was teaching a doctor. I said, when you see a cancer, see where the cancer is. Where did it start? Oh no, all cancers start in this way and that way. I said, you haven't understood. Look at the skin of the organ. Look at the middle layers of the structure of the cell. That's where your problem is, because you cannot transfer energy from inside to outside. When you see a cancer lump inside an organ, it means a lot if you understand it. One of the layers, middle structure, cannot transfer energy from, so it's stuck with it. and becomes. Psoriasis, when you see this lump, these dry bits, and these rashes on the skin, because the middle layer cannot sort out the salt content, what to hold and what not to hold. It piles it in. And where does it come? The skin of the man is connected to the brain of the man, which is the center of the emotion of the man. So put not. You put in a highway motorway. If the world of science understand what has been taught in all aspects of technology, man will never kill. Man will never even drive a car because it's easier for me to go there. I don't need to go through the storm and snow and car crashes and everything because I'm there without a car crash. I transfer. I go where I want, where I'm needed, where I can give more through the emotion of giving, not to the greed of taking. The greed is the sign of physicality, and generosity is sign of linked to the world of the creation, the two essence. And then you see, as I said, don't go and give your jackets and trousers to somebody. You can fulfill emotions. They can achieve anything. They don't need your trousers.